Welcome to Q&A Selling Online, with answers to questions about creating an online empire, promoting products, or building a brand. Your host, private label and e-commerce entrepreneur, Quinn Amorm.
Welcome back to the show, my friends. Today we have with us a special guest. She is a single mom, but not only that, she is top 1% Amazon listing copywriter. She's worked with over 5,000 clients over the last 10 years, and she's helped them generate over $5 billion in sales. And today we have her here with us, and we're going to pick her brain. It is Diane Boerstler. Diane, how's it going?
It's going great. How's it going with you?
It is super good, super good. Great times to be alive, Diane. And, we were just talking until now. There's no sense of hiding it to the people listening. We've been talking for the last half hour.
Yeah, sorry. And they were like, wait, we should probably start recording. Yeah, yes, that would be awesome.
So, Diane, for the few out there that don't know you, you are a single mom of how many kids?
4 going on 5. The next one is due in November.
4 going on 5.
Yep, I like a big family, I guess.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And at the same time, I'm not a single parent, and I only have 3. So I have, right now, 1 less than you, but soon 2. And it is super hard. So how is it really, really hard when you're doing it by yourself?
I know. You would think so. I think when they're younger, so when I had first of all, my youngest is 5 right now. And so when I had 4 kids under 6, that's what we called in the thick of it. 3 was the hardest. 3, I swear to God, and my friends who've had 3 kids and then 4 totally agree that 3 kids is the hardest number to have. Have another one. Because when you have 3 kids, it's like you're drowning and you have 2 kids and you're holding them. And then someone hands you a baby. Right. Mm-hmm. Once you have 3 and then you have a 4th one, you don't even notice. Suddenly there's a child who's just old enough to start helping. Right. So I think for me, it's actually been easier being a single parent of 4 and hopefully soon to be 5. It'll be easier as well than it was in my past situation. But I think it's just because I have 4 little entrepreneurs who live in the same house right now. And so it's kind of like a constant business like venture. They all see things they want to make money on, and they all see, ways of solving problems. And
that's so cool.
Yeah, it's really neat. It's like having it's like having our little startup collaboration every day. So it's harder to keep them focused on everything else.
Yeah, something you were just saying that having 4 is better than having 3.
It's easier.
But I'm a little bit afraid because I have a conversion rate when it comes to making kids that's higher. Right. Mine is higher than everybody else's.
Yeah, you had 200% conversion rate second time around, right?
Exactly.
You had twins. Is that right? Yep.
So that's means,
pretty awesome. I'd be careful.
Yeah, so I only tried twice to have kids. That's it. And I had 3. So that's 150% conversion rate overall.
That's correct. That's correct.
It's scary when it's that high, and,
right?
And the product is defective, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Okay. So I totally understand where you're coming from on that.
I can't return them now. So
no, you wouldn't want to. That would be you wouldn't want to do that. But I don't have twins. My oldest 2 are 13 months apart. But I don't know what it's like to have twins otherwise. I brought them both home the same year because they were both in the NICU. That was wild. Like one came home in March and one came home in December. Wow. But yeah, you don't want to return them. That would,
no, definitely
be crazy.
Not. Definitely not. So Diane, tell me, how old were you when you decided to become an entrepreneur?
The first time I started a business, I was 6 years old. And
6.
I was 6, yeah. And my mom had just become a single mom herself, actually, of 5 kids. This is kind of sounding familiar. I've been doing this for over 10 years now. But I was 6 years old, and I saw that my mom needed money, and I saw that our neighbor was ticked off and was using choice words to chuck the rocks out of her yard while she was mowing. And so I went over and offered to get paid per rock to pick up the rocks before she mowed. And she was really happy about that, and I was really happy about that. So I took it around to all the local areas and offered to do that. It was Diane's rock pickup service. And I was 6 years old, making some pretty decent money picking up rocks out of people's yards. And that was, that was my first business venture. It's just the same thing. Solve a problem, find a way to solve a problem and monetize it.
I can't believe what you just reminded me of.
I don't know.
When I did, it was similar because it had to do with rocks, but I was 5 in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, in Canada, and
Mhm.
I don't really remember it too much, but my parents tell me the story that I used to pick up rocks, just normal rocks from the ground, and I had a little desk,
Yeah.
and I would be outside the house, and I would say, "Come buy the shiny rocks," and people would actually buy them. And I remember one of the times my mom said I was super, super excited because somebody bought a rock, but they didn't want to take it with them. They said I could keep it. So I would get to sell that rock twice, right?
That's like entrepreneurial lesson number one. If you can't sell a rock, you can't sell anything. That's brilliant.
Yeah, so I'm
Actually,
guessing from selling rocks or getting paid to pick up rocks all the way to selling on Amazon, I guess our paths collided.
I know, right?
So you do copywriting for Amazon listings, and I mean, how did this happen, and how did you get hooked on it?
Oh my gosh. So I've been a sales copywriter, and I was a top, what you call NLP or conversational hypnosis sales copywriter, which meant that I was leveraging my background in neurolinguistics
Mm-hmm.
to basically use the most hypnotic words and powerful words I could to convince as many people to buy as possible. And I didn't even really think about helping people on Amazon until I was approached by a friend who I'd helped. Well, I guess he was actually a client at the time. He's a friend now, but a lot of my clients have become friends, obviously, over 10 years. So he approached me and he said, "Hey, we are doing decent in the service business that you helped me launch, and the copy's converting well. Have you ever thought about writing Amazon listings? I'm launching new products on Amazon." And at that point in time, I knew what Amazon was because I grew up outside of Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
And I had no idea. I'm like, okay, sure. I'm sure there are criteria and stipulations. This is going to be easy, right? So actually, it's actually a little bit trickier than writing, most copy because of the stipulations put on by Amazon. And then there's also all the FDA and, FCC and all that fun stuff to
Mm-hmm.
worry about. So he brought me in to help him write for 3 products. And instead of just bringing him home, his goal was to bring his wife home within 3 months because she was having their first child. And instead of just bringing his wife home, we managed to write sales copy that made so much money that he was able to scale even more. And we worked together on some scaling things. And he was able to bring his wife and himself home. And now he's on, I think they just had baby number 5.
Wow.
So this was a while ago. We've stayed in touch through the whole thing, but I was totally hooked because if you can take someone who has minimal business experience and they can follow through step by step. And then the one place they get stuck is on actually selling the product, and you can help them write the words that sell the product and get really good conversion rates on it. And that makes all the difference to their bottom line and to their family more than anything. Right. So that's how I got hooked on that, because before sales copy, it does the same thing across, wherever you write it. It's supposed to generate sales, which generates income for people's families. But I'd never seen the power and impact to take a family from not being able to be together and not being with their baby to being able to stay home in 3 months. That was a new one to me. And so I was super hooked on Amazon after that. And I started, accepting more and more offers to do that because I grew by referral base. And then I, started doing trainings, things like that. So
what a fantastic story. I was thinking there was like Steve Chu, right? My wife quit her job. You heard about that? Yeah. So it was kind of the same thing, although he did it himself.
Exactly.
So I mean that is incredible. Well, my wife, of course, stays at home. She's been home now for 8. This is the 8th year.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, although she doesn't work on the business anymore, she, my kids say that they actually asked my 7-year-old. I always want to say 6 because she only turned 7 this week or last week. But they asked her at school, "What does mom and dad do?" And she said, "My dad sells on Amazon." How about your mom? Well, my mom buys on Amazon.
Oh, but she has a really hard job. I couldn't just stay at home with kids and just focus on that. I have to have the business side going all the time. It's just the way my brain works. The kids are kind of the really fun accessory to my business. I definitely give her kudos for doing that. That's a huge sacrifice, even if you get to shop on Amazon, it's a huge sacrifice to go and do that.
Yes. Yeah. So over the last 10 years or so that you've been doing this, you've seen so many changes. And then one of the things that you probably see, it doesn't matter if it's a new seller or somebody that's been selling for a long time, you see a lot of mistakes. Is that correct?
Yeah. I like to say I see a lot of opportunities for improvement.
Yes.
I don't want anybody to feel bad, but yeah, there are mistakes, definitely. There's a really big one that's been going on for the last year, since so many people have moved over to shopping on mobile. Oh, there's so many. Where do I even start? Okay. So how about I give a tip that can help people immediately? I think that would be a good one. And maybe people are making this mistake.
Oh, yes. Yes.
The number one place to have your high converting sales copy right now, with everybody at home and everybody crashed on the couch watching Netflix or whatever they're doing and surfing on their phone at the same time or surfing on their tablet at the same time, is you need high converting sales copy on your images. Because when you go to Amazon and you look at all you see at first from mobile or a tablet usually is that title. So you need a persuasive title. You need to focus on conversions first, not necessarily keyword stuffing, conversions first, right? Because bots don't buy, people buy, right? And then the next thing they see are those images that you have. And if you just leave it open to interpretation or you jot a couple things down, you're missing a lot of conversions. We've jumped conversion rates by well over 200% just by shifting out the words on the images, not even the images. And these are ugly images, just the words on the images, because you're framing their brain on what you want them to think, right?
Yes.
So put those sales copy words on your images.
That is so powerful.
I guess the biggest other thing I see from new people and even people who've been doing this for 3 years, and I'll step into their business and they'll say, okay, I have 20 listings I want you to optimize. And I'll take a look and every single one is keyword focused. And they're like, I don't understand why I'm not ranking on page 1. I'm not indexing for these keywords correctly. And I just can't seem to do this. And Amazon's main focus is not keywords. Their main focus is conversions and sales. So the easiest way to rank for keywords is, of course, you can sprinkle them throughout, obviously, but you really want to focus on getting those sales. And Amazon will rank you for keywords that people click on that aren't even in your listing, obviously. You're advertising for them, and they'll rank you for them because you're getting sales from those keywords, right? Yeah. So focus on conversions and sales, getting the money in that pays your bills and takes care of your family before you worry so much about keyword ranking, because advertising still is not that expensive compared to, Google for services. It's really, really not. So that's, those are my two big things are conversions. We're selling to people, not bots.
Yes, that's a really, really good one, because a couple of years ago, when my listing didn't have a certain keyword, it would be almost impossible to rank for that keyword. And sometimes if I tried to run PPC to a keyword that was not on my listing, I wouldn't even get impressions. But now I can rank for keywords that I do not have on my listing. And that is
hundreds of them. Yep.
That is so cool, because Amazon is...
They finally caught up.
They're valuing conversions more than, because that's something that Google has done, right?
Yeah, for over a decade.
Because
Google's
sometimes you want to search something and you search the wrong thing, but you still get the same results because they know better than you what you're looking for, right?
They do.
Yes.
They can read your actions and brain and everything else. It's super fun to watch. You type in something random. The kids love that. Type in how to every single day and see what in the world pops up. Right? Yeah. Like the other day was like how to hook a fish using vegan bait. And I was like, why? Why are you going to use vegan bait to go? Okay, never mind. I'm done asking this question. I can't even process this.
What is vegan bait for a fish?
It was like stuff that like homemade vegan bait. So how to hook a fish using homemade vegan bait, or how to make homemade vegan bait to hook a fish, or something along those lines. And I'm thinking, if you're going to hook a fish anyway,
just use any bait.
Why are we using anything vegan? Like, why are we, is the fish are we like enlightening the fish's consciousness and then taking its life. Like, what are we doing here?
Maybe if you have vegan bait, you're only going to catch the healthy fish. Maybe that's what it is.
Maybe they're like organic keto fish. Exactly. I don't know.
And they don't have any iron or whatever it is. I don't know. None of that.
Right? Yeah, it's non-ferrous iron instead of ferret. Not ferret. What is it? Something like that. It's like a, yeah. Okay. Sorry. Totally off track there. There goes a fish.
Right. So the number one is adding sales copy to your images. And of course, Diane, do you follow the rules 100% when it comes to the main image, or do you sneak something in there?
We sneak things on the box because that's smart business.
Okay.
So, so how is it? Look at supplements, right? Supplements have a bottle. You have sales copy on the bottle that sells the product before they even click. It's a pre-sell on the bottle. Everybody should be doing this on their boxes. It doesn't make any sense to someone like me. And Amazon doesn't say you can't have sales copy on your product packaging. You absolutely can. And you can also have your product packaging in the listing, right? So I say put it on your box or on your product packaging if you possibly can. And I say stick to 3 main things. Make it big and stick to 3 main things. Not that I see people putting 20 things on their product packaging and no one can see it, right? You want it to grab their attention immediately, and you want them to see those words that they're looking for, that their brain is looking for. They don't even know they're looking for them. This is subconsciously driven.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And a very important thing that you just reminded me of, and I want everybody to know, is that if you're, for example, in the supplement space, like Diane says, of course, you should have some of those keywords on your box, on your product packaging, but do not have claims, because
let's talk about claims.
Recently, Amazon did a real big cleanup when it came to claims.
Yep.
And I had one product, I had several products that were taken down, but one of them was taken down, and I guess is what you call a false positive, because it wasn't even a supplement. And it got reinstated really quickly. But on the email that I received, it says, please upload your second image, have the ingredients or whatever, or something in the second image. And remember, and it said, if you have claims on your product, your listing will not be reinstated.
Gotta be careful.
And that was so shocking, because luckily it didn't, and it wasn't even, that one wasn't a supplement. The other 8 were, but it's supplements like it doesn't even. So the FDA and Amazon do not agree. Okay, FDA, FCC, and Amazon, 3 different people, 2 compliance agencies, and 1 major corporation that's technically a search engine. Okay, so that would be Amazon. They don't agree on what you can and cannot have on there. So if you're looking at, I'm sure you already know that FDA, you have to use promotes, aids, supports. Sometimes you can use mitigates, but we still can't make specific claims, right? Even things people search for, like fat burning supplement, we can't make that claim, right? Yes. Oh, yeah.
Even if we put the supports, aids, mitigates, whatever around it. So about 5 years ago, to get around Amazon, I invented these fun little language patterns that make it so that it's not a claim. It's not legally a claim. Amazon can't say it's a claim, but we're still implanting and embedding the same thing in people's minds. And they're super fun. You can't fit it on the front of a bottle. You can fit it in a bullet point, but you can't fit it on the front of it. Anyhow, I just wanted to go into that because it's so much fun to figure. That's my favorite part of this game, is figuring out how to sell the product while getting around Amazon, the FCC, and the FDA, so nobody gets in trouble. That's like, it's like my favorite thing to do. I'm like, ooh, we can't say these 10 things. What can we say? Like we just literally went through masks where Amazon came back and said, you can't use the word mask in any of your listings.
I don't imagine the people that were selling face masks, but I mean,
800,000. I had a client I'd launched that was doing 800,000 a day.
No, I mean facial masks, the skincare facial masks.
Oh yeah. Oh, it was crazy.
Yes, all those listings were shut down. But
it was like facial serum. Okay, we can use serum, we can use cream, we can use and it's anything that goes in or on the body is automatically going to get flagged for something, and we're always super careful about that. But that's why we do the unlimited edits thing. Honestly, that started with supplements. Because Amazon changes what they're doing. You know what I mean? All the time. They're like, oh, okay. So for example, last year, antibacterial, antimicrobial, we could use those in listings. Yes. And now those, even if you have proof, unless you have an MSDS or hazmat sheet, which has nothing to do with what you put on your body, okay, nothing at all. And you have a product that has ingredients that have antimicrobial or antibacterial properties, you still can't use it in the listing. It will still flag. And then you have to go through this whole thing of showing them. And a lot of times they'll still say, oh, you can't use it, even though we know that this particular ingredient has antibacterial properties, right?
Unless Amazon is the seller of that particular.
Oh, of course. Then they can do whatever they want. I know. I live like an hour north of Jeff Bezos. That's kind of the joke around here, because there go the Amazon trucks driving on the other side of the road, making U-turns where they're not supposed to. Yeah, but it's okay. It's not really Washington. It's Bezoston. You know what I mean? So we live in the thick of it down here. It's not that I don't love them. I make my livelihood off them. I'm not going to bite the hand that feeds me.
Diane, I'm going to tell you a secret. I'm going to tell you a secret, and everybody listening, you're going to hear this for the first time. So talking about ways to get around Amazon's search bots or FTC or whatever, FDA, how I used to infiltrate some keywords that were not allowed into the listings. So you know how Amazon can pick up a keyword, a long tail keyword, even if they're not together, right?
Like subject matter, or no, are you talking about just through bullets?
If you have, for example, this product is blue, let's say, I don't know, Bluetooth in one sentence, and then 2 lines after you would have the word speaker, they would still pick up Bluetooth.
They'll still pick it up in the first 1,000 characters. Yeah.
So what we used to do is in products that were weight loss products,
like separate fat and burning,
if we would put them as a person's name. So
that's really smart.
Like Joe Fat, Joe Fat always says, burning, really, and then we make a sentence out of it, and the words would still be in there, but it had nothing to do with burning fat. It was Joe, Joe Fat or Joe Burn.
I do that. I've just never used names. I just find other ways to sneak in. That's really smart.
Yes.
I love it. That's awesome. Joe Fat. They didn't get ticked at you? Wow.
No. And
that's Facebook. That's Facebook that doesn't like you calling people fat. I remember.
Exactly.
Okay.
But if it was the person's name, although with Facebook it wouldn't work because the algorithm just would pick up anything and kick it anyway, right?
Yep. Facebook is another one we work on, and holy moly, super fun. Yeah. FCC is down their throats like crazy. So is the FDA, even steeper than Amazon.
We can barely do anything these days. Right?
You can't. You can put videos up. I like videos. Put up videos.
You can't even say yeast on Amazon listings now.
Nope. You can't. Yeah, it's a whole different ball. It's fun. It's kind of fun to constantly play the game, right?
I know.
It's like I play fantasy football. I love.
What if I sell yeast? Yeast?
You can use yeast if you sell yeast, but you can't use masks right now if you sell a mask.
Yeah.
Don't use a mask. You can't use mask. You can use covering. What have we used today? We use covering, shield is one of them. Of course, you can, say like we snuck it in with maskne instead of acne, maskne. We also can't say acne. So we snuck in maskne.
You can't say acne?
Nope.
Oh my goodness. I think I may have acne.
Prevents acne. You're not supposed to use acne. And sometimes they'll let you get away with it if you have clinical studies behind it that shows it and you have to present those clinical studies. But all of the smaller guys out there who are like, this contains products that with anti-acne properties, right? Or sebum mitigating properties, they can't use that. They can't use acne.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So better do something else. We just ran into an issue with psoriasis for a product specifically created for psoriasis. Mm-hmm. Like, you can't use psoriasis anywhere in the listing. I'm like, we have clinical documentation, studies. We're talking $500,000 worth of studies here based on psoriasis. And they're like, you still can't use it. I'm like, okay, no, we're going to get around this. Let's take this on. This is what I'm willing to take on. That's crazy. So yeah, it's fun.
Yeah. There's so much that you got to do. There's one product that selling it is tested, and because of that, it requires different formulas that were not approved in Canada. That were approved in the USA. So, for example, in the USA, the formula only has 1% of a certain drug, while in Canada you're allowed 2%. So, of course, in Canada you get the 2%, and because they don't know, right? Both of them have been, or sorry, the Canadian one was suspended because they thought, anyway.
Because the 1%, it's like 1% hydrocortisone kind of thing.
Yes, it was ketoconazole.
Yeah.
And
yep.
So
We bumped into
2%,
that.
2% is allowed in Canada, but the US only allows 1%. So anyway, we're not here to talk about what we can't do. Let's talk about what we can do.
Well, we can get around just about anything and talk people into sales, even if we can't use specific words. Correct. And that's really important to remember. That I think that's a huge thing that I deal with, especially newer sellers. Not necessarily the experienced ones, because they've already been through the gamut and they've kind of developed that thicker skin, and that really, more than anything, that positive attitude that they're going to be able to get through it. There's always a way, right? Sorry, I have a 5-year-old about to join us, so he might say hi, just so you know. So mindset is huge. I've had, people going into selling on Amazon, and even people have been doing it for 2 years and think, oh, I must be doing really well at this. I must be doing everything right. You gotta go upstairs, buddy. Okay, I'll be off and I'll come in just a second, okay? You gotta go see Addie. So the biggest thing is a positive mindset. There,
by the way.
That's totally fine. He can. I don't even care. They go on camera with me. I'm not skittish about it. They're young entrepreneurs, so they've got to learn to. They're used to it. They're not shy. So the biggest thing, I think, is mindset. And even people who've been doing this for 2 and 3 years, who've never been hit by anything, and all of a sudden are slapped by Amazon, they come back and they're freaking out. And it's like, okay, don't freak out. There is a solution to all of this, and we'll figure it out. It's about having everybody take a deep breath, and we're going to move this forward. And sometimes Amazon is just ridiculous with, I have a client who I love to death, and it's a client who has baby blankets, right? And this poor person has been Amazon slapped 15 times in the last 2 months through their EBC, and there's no claims in it, but they're hitting them for things like using verses, like VERSUS or VS, for using the word premium, for using the word quality. And I'm like, okay, none of these are against TOCs in your specific category. So it's been like a nonstop, but they keep a positive attitude and they keep going forward and they keep readjusting. And it's just like any business. It's not going to be easy necessarily. It's going to be as joyful as you make it, and as joyful as your mindset, and as deep as you can breathe, and as high as the stress capacity you can handle. Mm-hmm. It's going to determine your success on Amazon. But just, breathing through it. It's something I constantly tell people.
I actually have experience like your client with the baby blankets. If you're talking about the
swaddle wrap type, the
thing. Swaddle wraps, like muslin swaddle 46 by 46. Yeah. I used to sell that, and at the time I didn't even know what a muslin swaddle was.
Right, you didn't have kids yet.
And I was selling them in the US, and then when I had my first kid, I was still selling them in the US, and I didn't have any in Canada. So I actually had to buy my competitors because, to get one of mine from the US to Canada was crazy. And,
oh, no.
And the thing is, because of all those things that I had to put up with, plus a mistake I made, I just stopped right around 2016 or so. I have not sold. I still have a few around the house. But
they're super useful.
I never sold them again. Yeah, they're 46 by 46, right? They're pretty big.
They can clean anything, and they absorb anything. And if you need to, you can use them to tie up a toddler.
And you know what's funny? That there's actually a pretty cool story when it comes to the swaddles, because I made mine to be the best out there. And I'm not kidding. I wanted it to be the best because there was a company out there, Aiden and Anais.
Yeah,
they were number one, because even the Queen of England had talked about them or something.
Oh, but of course.
And I wanted to beat them. But what happened was I went too far with the quality and the packaging, and I decided to sell only one because the quality was so high that if I put
your landing price was so high.
Yeah, they were going to be expensive.
Cost,
So what happened was during the launch and everything, it went perfect, but then it slowed down, and I started losing sales. And then when I finally had my baby, I mentioned it to my wife, and she told me that she wouldn't buy, if she was a customer, she wouldn't buy mine either. And now, as a mom, you will probably understand why, is because you cannot use just one. If you have a kid, they puke every 15 minutes.
Yeah.
You need to replace them 4 or 5 times a day. And if you just buy one, like my package was just one.
Like a 3 to 6 pack.
And then I realized every one of the competitors that was beating me had a minimum of a 3-pack minimum. Yep. And oh my goodness. So, but anyway, that plus all the taking downs and selling in the baby space is terrible. So I got out of it really quickly, and and that's the end of it. So
yeah, I'm writing about, actually, I have 4 baby products I was working on for the last 2 days, and I'm having a baby, and I was like, I really just don't want to look at a baby product for another, like, I don't know, like 6, just give me like 3 months, 3 months of like not trying to figure out how to sell this to moms, because you become so critical as a mom. And actually, it's really good to hand your mom products over to mom sales copywriters.
Yeah.
Because I see people walking in with, like you said, you're selling one, and it's like, okay, but no one's going to buy one. And hopefully the person you hired to help with conversions will tell you that. Like, this is not actually this is the reason it's not selling. It's not necessarily your sales copy. It's that they always talk about the offer, right? So you have to have an amazing offer no matter what.
Exactly.
No matter what. But you can justify it.
What if the copywriter that person hired, or the one I hired, was not a mom or a dad, right? It was just the cool e-commerce guy that knows everything, but
it could be. They might know that too. They might. There are some great writers out there who haven't actually experienced it. I just know as a mom, like, I've realized I'm going through things and I'm so critical. I'm like, yeah, that's really pretty. It's, vegan leather, and I could totally rock that breast pump bag or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. But you can't wipe it down, and I have 4 kids, and it's going to be obliterated. So it's going to be pretty for like a day. Yeah. New moms don't necessarily think about that kind of thing. And it's, like, you can take a critical eye to that. And also, I mean, same thing too. I'm sure there are dads out there who can out-dad me on all kinds of stuff. I don't know. But it does kind of crack me up, because I wouldn't have thought of it either when I started my sales copy company in the same year that my first daughter was born. And I had no idea what I was doing at all. I knew a sales copy. I'd been in sales. I was a teacher. I totally knew, I understood advertising and sales copy. I didn't necessarily know anything about being a parent. Right?
Yeah. Does anybody know? Even after having 5,
I roll with it every day. I wake up in the morning. I try to get up at the same time. This morning, the coffee maker exploded. I'm not sure how. Like, water, coffee grounds everywhere. It's like, okay, no coffee for a couple hours. Let's figure out what's going on with this thing. The school's going on, because we're still distance learning. I mean, no, you don't. But I think it's the same thing as being in business. I think being in business gives us this cutting edge advantage to being parents, because we just don't expect that everything's going to go right. Like, we kind of we have a higher stress capacity already, because it's, the unpredictable is just something we live in other areas of our life. I think parents make amazing business owners, or business owners generally make amazing parents if they've kind of had that, like that go for it attitude that people say I'm a go-getter, right? So if they have that go-getter attitude, and it's like, it's going to turn out fine anyway, I'm going to make it fine, I'm going to make it awesome. I think that's a very different attitude than this might work, or, I'm like kind of turbo survival person. So it's like, we're going to do this. This is going to happen. We're going to get this to $1,000 a day in product sales. We're going to do this, or 10,000.
Yes.
If that makes sense. Yeah.
And now, talking about 10, I saw on your site, you have a 10x revenue guarantee.
I do. I'm insane.
For a year. You are insane.
Okay. Yeah. So I do that. And the 10x revenue guarantee is based on what you pay me, right? So what you invest. And so for people who are just coming in and they need the title, bullet points, and, HTML description, they're going to invest less. And so they're probably going to expect less. They also tend to not need as much guidance, necessarily. If they're at that stage, it's like, okay, they have someone holding their hand to launch them into that very basic listing, right? And I shouldn't say basic, like it's going to convert well, but it's not the same as when you work with me to do a full launch package. And so your 10X is going to be a lot higher based on that, because I'm working with you on the images and the sales copy for the images and the EBC image guidance and the sales copy for that and your title and your bullet points and your customer, awareness, and if you get stuck on marketing, it's very different. It's a very different 10X, obviously. So, and the 365 days of unlimited edits, I just believe all sales copywriters and business consultants should offer that, because what happens if something happens, like if the industry changes or something about their product has to change or it gets banned? I don't want people going out there and thinking, okay, I'm just going to rewrite this one thing myself when they really don't know what's going on and they needed to hire an expert in the first place. I'd rather they just come back to me and say, hey, we're changing this, or this happened. Can we tweak it? Can we fix it? How should we do this? And that they know that I'm there to help them with that, because my ultimate goal is not for me to have as many clients as possible. It's really to make families money. I'm still that same way 10 years later, Yeah. This is, for me, it's about families. And I have some young guys I work with who have no families yet, but they start getting there when they're about 27, 28. They start thinking about that kind of thing. And they're like, okay, so, and then they come to me for other kinds of advice, which is really fun. It's like being everybody's mom in a way.
So I can understand like the 365 days of optimization edits. I can understand it because it is in your power. Now the 10X revenue guarantee, I would be afraid because not everybody is good or has a good product. So what if there's, this customer that doesn't run ads and their product is the cheapest that they could have sourced from China. So they're getting a ton of 1-star reviews. So of course, their conversion
There's definitely stipulations.
Okay.
But those people don't tend to seek me out, honestly.
That's probably true, yeah.
It's usually the clients, it's people like you and people like me who are like, okay, I want to make the best of something. Like I am determined to make the very best of something and to get it out to people at the best price possible within reason. We tend to deal, and there's some things like we can make weed whacker string sound super awesome and sell a ton of it. We can do the same thing with things like natural pest repeller and sell millions of dollars a month in it. But a lot of the things that I work on tend to be Me Too products, which that have additional features added to them. So they're really, really sweet. Or sometimes self-designed products. But if you can make a Me Too product sound like the most superior thing on the market, then you know what you're doing. And that's a lot of times what we end up doing is positioning that product as well. So, but if someone gets really bad reviews, I had this happen about 4 years ago, and that's the last time it happened. Someone had a salad spinner. They got really bad reviews and they came back and I said, I want a refund. I'm not getting very many, I'm not getting as many sales as I wanted to. And I'm looking and I said, okay, send me your data. Now they call them, business marketing reports, but back then we just said, send me the report. There was like 2, I think, back there, but there's like 20. And I looked at it and I said, okay, but it looks like you're converting for these keywords still, and this is great. What's really the problem here? Have you gone back to the manufacturer and talked to them about the defects and had them fix it so we can rewrite the listing and say upgrade it, right? And talk to them about, and kind of focus on how we've upgraded this particular product. And so I tried to help them negotiate with the factory and the manufacturer. And the manufacturer said that they were going to fix it, and then it came through with the same issue. And I ended up giving the person a refund because I said, you know what, I feel really, really bad for you. And that was the last time they sold on Amazon. That was their one product on Amazon. I said, I feel like you didn't have the right guidance from the beginning. And while that's not on me, I did promise you that we're going to do this. And I can't control this. But that was the one time I gave what I would call an out of control refund, because I just felt so bad for the person because they got jinxed by a really bad factory over in, this was of course in China, and there's a lot of great ones over there, but they didn't know what they were doing. So most of the people I work with are well educated enough to understand what they're doing. And if they get stuck on things like marketing, they can come ask for help. But if they source a cruddy product, that's definitely not something that we can help a whole lot with. And most people don't do that. Most people are like, okay, I'm investing $2,000 or whatever into launching this product, or $5,000. Those people tend to be the type of people who are not going to source a 50-cent product and try to sell it for $250. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I
do.
They
have reasonable expectations. So
Diane, after you do a listing or several listings for a customer, do you stay connected, like as an admin, to the back end of their account to check the, like conversion rate and all that stuff?
Nope. I leave that 100% to clients. Case in point, I was hacked last week, because I have 4 kids who like to click on things.
Hmm.
So I don't ever connect myself to people's accounts anymore. And that stopped about 2 years ago. So people can send me their data. I figure that they know how to run their back end. They can send me their data. I don't do the technical setup. You can have a VA do that really easily to upload your images and copy and paste your bullet points and title. You don't want to pay me a fee to do that. You don't want to know what my hourly is for consulting, and that's what I would charge for that. So my job is to help you make money, not to handle the administrative assistant side of things.
Got it.
If that makes sense.
So
yeah.
do you know what was the highest conversion rate that one of your clients has achieved with your improvements?
Supplement and 76%. It was a jump from 43%.
Oh.
I think our average is about 36 to 37% across all categories. And then in the tougher ones, it's Amazon's conversion rate is like 6% and ours is between 20 and 30% in some of the really competitive ones. So I do really well on the conversion side of things. Yeah.
Nice. I have one of my SKUs with, last time I checked, it was like 67.
Right. You can get them up there pretty good.
And it is, that's insane. That's really high. But in all fairness, the number of impressions or unique visitors that it gets are not as high as the ones that are around the 40%. So, there's.
Yeah. It's a much more, when you're hitting 76% or 63%, it's a really targeted product.
Yes.
So it's not like we're selling dog toys, which would be when we hit 26% on dog toys, we're pretty happy with that. Especially the Me Too dog toys that we're having to position as premium, because sometimes people maybe spent too much on the landing cost side of things. And we can do that. We can make things premium we can make them sound premium and look premium just with packaging and sales copy. Right?
One of the amazing things about that one that has the 67% conversion rate, it is a product that is subscribe and save. So that means you can buy one every month. So imagine, or you can't even imagine what budget I have turned on as PPC for that product, because in 100 people, 67 on average buy that product.
Yeah.
And about 11 subscribe to it. So whatever my PPC costs are, I bid $10 clicks for that.
Right? Yeah. It doesn't, at that point, it doesn't even matter. Yeah. In just a minute. You can just stay here and hang out and listen. You want to hang out and listen? Learn business stuff? Okay. We've got a Tegan on the phone. He's 5 and he's going to learn from our business talks. Although I'm kind of looking at the time going, okay, yes, I can talk about this stuff for hours and hours and hours. That's part of the challenge of picking like a topic when you're teaching. I love training people.
Hey, and he's right, Diane. It is time for Tegan cuddles. And I could talk about this all night. And we've been talking. One of the cool things that we're talking with you is that I forget I'm on the podcast sometimes.
Right. We go off on, I'm so sorry, like our little rabbit trails. It's totally worth it though. It's fun.
Yeah, it's super cool. So let's give Tegan this time. And so for everybody that's listening and they want to find you, Diane, and they want you to do your Hypnotic listings, which is actually a pretty cool name that you got there. How do they go about finding you and where?
The easiest URL. Yep, I see. That does look like a crate. How cool is that? The easiest way to find me is at AmazonSalesGuru.com or HypnoticAmazonCopywriter.com. Or you can just Google me and I pop up on Facebook and YouTube. I have free trainings all over YouTube too. They're like, I've talked for 12 hours on them. So if people really want to get really in depth with this, they can go watch the training on YouTube and there's free templates involved and they can download all that fun stuff. So
perfect.
Yeah.
So I'll have all of these on the show notes for everybody to check out.
Yeah, it might be easier to click on them.
Yeah. So
I was just thinking about that. Sorry.
That's fine. Diane, thank you so much for your time. We have to do this again because we could go about this for hours. And Tegan, thank you so much for letting your mom spend this time with me.
Definitely. Thank you again so much. It was really fun. And I'd love to come back and join you guys anytime. Just let me know.
Thank you. It's a big pleasure.
Have a good night.